Nothing. All of you, everyone, kids, come on, focus like nothing, right? Because we are going to do a lot of stuff today and it's going to be very rapid as well. So focus like nothing. Are you all focusing, everyone? Come on, everyone in the chat screen. I want to see whether you all are focusing or not. Everyone in the chat screen. Perfect. Awesome. Great. That's what we want. A local MySQL server hosts a database named Super, which has a table named TV series. Database name is Super, and the table name is TV series. A local MySQL server, local one. Local one means within the same computer. Write a PHP code to make a connection with the above database, considering username and password to connect MySQL server as root and USB-W respectively. The connection should be stored within con variable. All right. So this is PHP now. How many of you have forgotten PHP? How many of you have forgotten PHP? Come on, be honest in the chat screen, please. Let me see your level of honesty in the chat screen. Fine. See the fair majority. All right. Do not forget. If PHP wants to talk to a MySQL database, the first thing to do is to make a connection. Without making a connection, can we do anything in the world, kids? So don't forget that. Okay. Right. So what is the first thing to do? Make a connection, and then you can insert data, you can retrieve data, you can do a lot of stuff, once you make a connection. So the first step is connection. And this one is asking about the connection exactly. Yes. So here, write a PHP code to make a connection with the above database. Let's see how to do this. Going up, going down. Right, this one. Fine. I'll write it in here itself, okay? I think that's better. Everyone focus, kids. So what is the variable name defined here in the question? I mean, we have to stick to that variable. What is that variable name? Come on. $con. Perfect. $con. So I have to stick to that name, okay? $con. That's it. $con also double N equals, okay. The function that we can use to create a connection is what? Yes, we are going to say new what? MySQLi. This is the function. MySQLi. And then we can define what? The username, the password. Sorry, the host name. Here we can define the host name in the sense I can say simply server name. I'll say here server name, and then username, and then password, and then we have what? Database name, DB name. This is how you should define it. And then yes, the semicolon is there, right? Wait. Now, wait. Can the username, like, can the password come before username? Can we do like that? Can we change this order by any chance? We cannot change this order. Don't forget it. So let me show you the marking scheme. What I have mentioned in the marking scheme. Okay. Right. So what I've mentioned in the marking scheme. Right. Focus. Right. So if you look at the marking scheme here, you can see in the marking scheme, what is mentioned is this one. There are two answers in the marking scheme. Now that's another problem, right? Let me tell you why two answers and which one is the most suitable one for your examination, right? Wait, kids. Mode. For this one, right? Everyone focus. Now, here in the marking scheme, what I have mentioned is this $con new MySQL. This thing you know, that is what? We have the server name, and then we have username, and then we have password, and then we have what? Database name. All correct now? The first one is correct. You all can understand this now? Yeah, right? Yeah, right? Fine. But look at this one. Look at the second one. $con equals MySQL I underscore connect. Okay, well, I should say it's like this. This one over here, this is the new method, new object-oriented method. New method, object-oriented method. But when it comes to this one, this is known as the procedural method. This is the old way of connecting it. Now, which one we should write for the examination? Okay, why I have given the second one? Because some of you must have learned this second method. Okay, well, I should say you should go for the new one for the examination. So do not write the second one for the examination. All right. So what you should write for the examination? 2021 A-level examination and onwards, you should stick to the new way of defining it. Please mention it. Okay, everyone. Is it crystal clear to all of you? Come on, everyone in the chat screen. Come on. Yes or no? Is this crystal clear to all of you? Yeah. Okay. MySQL I means also what? Improved version of MySQL, it says. Right? Because earlier it was what? Just MySQL, but now it's MySQL I, improved version of MySQL. Perfect. Right. Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Then. Going to the next one. Focus like nothing. The following SQL statement has been used to create a table in a database. You can see create table student, this statement. If you can open it in your side, it will be more clear. Create table student, student number char 5, name char 30, address char 100, blah, 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 primary key student number. It's there. So there is a table which we create. Just tell me first of all, can you see any foreign keys being created here? Come on, tell me yes or no. Can you see any foreign keys being created here? No, so don't forget that, okay? Don't forget that. Keep that in mind. Right. So this is a simple create table statement. Write a query in SQL to add the following data to the student table. So you have to write a query in SQL to add the following data. In order to add data to a table, what is the SQL statement that we have to use, kids? Come on. Insert statement. Perfect. Insert statement. Awesome. Right. So insert statement. How are we going to do it? So student number is the first one. So I can even mention that student number column gets 10001 value, and then student name column gets Saman Kumara value, and then address gets what? This value. Address 78, whatever, Mahara Road, Maharagama, this value, right? So let's see based on this whether you can understand the marking schemas or not. Look at this. There are two answers given in here. What is that? One is insert into student and then say what? Values this thing, giving the values. Look at the second answer. Inserts into student. What is the difference that you can see in these two answers? They have said both the answers are correct. Come on. What is the difference between these two answers? Very good, to India. Perfect, to India. This is what? Column names. Awesome. Column names are mentioned. But which one is the most recommended approach, you think? Most recommended approach? Not the first one. Second one with the column names. Okay. So make sure at the examination, you write this with the column names. Then why are you, Tehran? Why are you mentioning this? Because now let's say in an MCQ, you are getting a question, which of the following is an incorrect insert statement? When this kind of an insert statement is mentioned, you will think that this is incorrect. Why? The column names are not there. Can you understand the importance of learning this? Yeah. Right. Okay. So is this SQL statement incorrect? Is this SQL statement incorrect, Ane? No, definitely no. right? So you should know that it's correct. Fine. Right. Then. Why second one is recommended? Because the column names are explicitly given. And here, based on the column names that you give here, you can interchange the values. For example, if you mention name and then student number and address, irrespective of whatever the order they are in the database or the table, let's say you mention name, student number, address. So you can pass the values in that order which you have mentioned. So there is a very less likely, less chance that you are going to make any mistakes in the second approach. Clear, right? Right? But in the second one, you can't change the order. You have to know the order, the column order as it appears in the table. You have to know, right? Fine. Okay. Even if you write this one or this one, you will be getting full marks, right? Okay. See, it has mentioned the order of the values in the value statement should be same as the order of attributes in the insert statement. Insert statement attributes are these three. So that same order should be there. But here attributes are not mentioned. So the order cannot be changed. This order cannot be changed. It will get the default table order. Is this crystal clear to all of you? Come on, yes or no? Crystal clear? Perfect, perfect. Awesome, awesome. This is what we need. All right, then going for the next one. If the address of the student has entered, if the address of the student entered in the one above should be changed to 13 School Lane, Jaffna, whatever. If you want to change it, write a query in SQL to update the relevant record. So if you want to change a record, what you should do? What is the SQL statement? Come on, tell me. What is the SQL statement? Update SQL statement. Perfect. Update is a DML or DDL? Just asking. Come on, just to check. DML or DDL? Come on, tell me. It's a DML statement. Perfect. So going for the answer and see, changing just the address. Update student. There are two answers given here. Let's see. Update student set address equals whatever the new address, where student number like this thing. And then update student set address equals this thing, where student number like this thing they have mentioned. Can you see any change in between these two answers? By the way, I'm just asking. Can you see any change between these two answers? Can you please tell me? Can you change? Very good, very good, very good, very good. Perfect. So what do you mean by percentage? 1,000,1 and rest whatever. Percentage means what? With the like statement, it says what? Rest whatever. Actually, do we have any more characters rest? Yes or no? No. Even if it has characters or not, doesn't matter. We are saying starting with 1,000,1. So even if it has the value 1,000,1, still is accepted in this one and this one both. Okay. Right. So this is accepted. But actually, I'm pretty sure most of you must have written. There are two more answers given here. What is that? Update student set address this thing, where student number equals this thing. Equals. Right? Equals. Okay. Can you see something called equals here? So this is what? The most important and the most recommended method to update. Why? Why? Because we want the exact same record. Exact same record means what? We can say equals 1,000,1. We have that value now. In our question, we have that value. See, student number is 1,000,1. That's it. Okay. Right? Is this clear to you up to this extent? Yes or no? Yes or no? Right. Look at the last one which is mentioned there. Update student set address this one. Now, in this case, I do not recommend this. Why? Sure, I will explain, Mashuda. Focus on this. I will come back to there. Update student set address this one. What will happen in here? Where statement is not there. If where statement is not there, it will update, yes, all the record. That's where the problem is. It will update what? All the records, kids. If it is going to update all the records, there will be a problem, right? Definitely, yes. So they have made an assumption here. What is that? Only one student record in the database is available. There is only one student record in the database available. They have assumed that. I mean, that's a very bad assumption, right? Very bad assumption. Since we have just inserted only one record, maybe previously some records have been inserted. No? That's what. Okay. So can all of you understand up to this extent, kids? Yes or no? I will get back to the percentage sign and explain it. Can all of you understand up to this extent? If you want to make any notes, come on, quickly make it. I'll give you like few seconds. Quickly make the notes. All right. Going to the next one. Wait. Some of them are asking, what is this percentage thingy here? May I explain this percentage thingy? Yeah? You want me to explain this percentage thingy here? All right. It's like this, kids. Okay. Now, let's say there is a student. Now, let's say I'm going to mention some student records. Okay. Focus, huh? Student numbers. This is a table. Just there are some other columns as well, right? In this table, I have the student number. Let's say 10001, 10002, 10003, and also 10001, 10012. Likewise, if I am going to say student number like what? 10001, which means I'm specifically focusing only to this one. Can you understand this? Right? Yeah, right? Okay. If I'm going to say, now let's say like statement, huh? This is like statement I'm talking about, okay? If I'm going to say 1001 percentage, it says what? Starts with 1001 and then rest whatever. I will be pointing out this one, as well as this one. Can you understand? Yes or no? Okay. So that is the difference. Can understand, no? Crystal clear, no? Perfect, right? Understood, right? Awesome, right? Fine. Great. Great. Perfect. Then now, what? In the marking scheme, the equal sign only works for Vacha attributes. How can we mention if it's an integer data type? There is a statement. Wait. Where is that? I'm going for that. Wait, in the marking scheme. Okay. Nisansa is raising a question. Let's see. Yeah, it's like this. No. The equal sign only works for Vacha type attributes. It has mentioned like this, no? That's what you're talking about, no? Right, no. If you want to compare this with an integer, then after the equal sign, you should not have the quotes. That's it. That's all you have to consider. Is that clear? So you don't have to consider, like, it doesn't apply to this question at this context anyway. Right? Okay. It will change all the records into the given address which starts with that is correct, yes. But Janani, we have only one record, no? They have already made that. No, there is only one record with that. That's why they have given this answer also. They are trying to give more marks, you know, to the students. Even they have written it like this. Those students also will be getting the marks. That's what. Okay, fine. Sure, Ranisi, we'll go to that point later on. Fine, we'll do the mock, we'll do the discussion, and then we'll go to that point, Ranisu, later on. Fine, okay, right? Okay, right, okay, right. So fine. So now, what is the next one that we have to learn? Right. Now that's a whole new question, update anomaly and all. Right. Wait. Before that. Now we have allowed even the revision class students to participate for this. Number of registrations for this event is 580. Right? 580. I can show you the database. Actually, we could give this chance to all of you. This mock examination session free for all of you. Because of what, kids? Because of whom? Who are our sponsors? Who are our sponsors? Sponsors for this event. IIT and Achievers. That's correct. IIT and Achievers. Perfect. Yes. Now, Achievers, last week, can you remember, they were giving you a scholarship, right, for some program. What was that program? ACCA. Very good. ACCA, very good. Now this week, with all the discussions that we had, Achievers told that for my students, now there is one qualification is ACCA. On the opposite, what is the other qualification? That main qualification which is done by the students, other than ACCA? CIMA. You know that it's a very commonly like everybody is doing that. No, CIMA. It's a worldwide recognized qualification, no? Right? So to this qualification for the first level, they are going to give 30% off for our students. Isn't that a great thing? %30 off. Yes. Kids. So they have sent us a small video. Shall we? You can give it a try, Ammar. Actually, you can give it a try. Ammar can definitely do, no? Right? Okay. So they have sent us a small video about CIMA and what they are going to offer us, and how to get that scholarship is mentioned there. Shall we watch that small video? Tribute to our sponsors. Okay, kids, everyone? Fine. Okay. So prior to the next one, let's go for it. All right. Can all of you see the video? Yeah, right, kids? Can all of you see this here? All right. So do not miss the points in here. These are very, very important for your future. And also, please grab the moment when he's mentioning about the scholarship and how to obtain it. Take a piece of paper and write it. Can you hear it?
You can start the CIMA qualification here at Achievers.
Can you write? Right. Okay. Let's
You
go ahead.
know, CIMA qualification, not only in Sri Lanka, it is well recognized all over the world. So if you ask the pioneers who started the CIMA qualification, obvious answer, it is Achievers. So you can start your CIMA qualification here at Achievers. For after A-level students, we have designed a special program called Fast Track program to do the CIMA qualification. So normally to complete CIMA qualification, it will take 2 years, but through this Fast Track program, you can complete the CIMA qualification within 1 year and 9 months. So this program is specially designed for after A-level students. So you can be from commerce stream, you can be from math stream, you can be from any stream. CIMA is a qualification which will require for you because it is giving you the business knowledge, not only finance, not only accounting, it is giving you the business knowledge. So any career path that you are choosing, no problem. CIMA is a very good qualification for you. So if you are expecting to start the CIMA qualification, obviously you can join with the pioneers of the CIMA qualification, which is Achievers. So at last, what's the scholarship that you are going to get? As displayed on the screen, you will get the scholarship. And to get this scholarship, what you have to do? A very simple thing. So I want to tell you something. If you didn't do what I am telling right now, you will regret later. So take a piece of paper and write down this number, okay, which is displayed on the screen. What you have to do is simply send a WhatsApp message for this particular number. What you have to send is your name, your school, and the qualification that you want to do, and you have to send your teacher's name. So if you send these 4 details for this particular number, your scholarship will be reserved. So to reserve the scholarship, as soon as possible, send the WhatsApp message to this particular number. After that,
Excuse me, I'm posting the screen. Please mention this is what you have to send to get 30% off for CIMA. Could you all write the number and everything, the details that you should send? Finally, there is something that you should not forget, you know, someone's name. I don't know whether afterwards you're going to forget my name or not. So please mention that one as well. Are you going to forget me, kids? Are you going to forget me after A-levels? Are you sure about that? Is that a promise? Okay, fine, right. Okay. Right. Come on, everyone. So I hope you have mentioned this. So I'm gonna resume the rest of the video.
later on, don't regret I couldn't take down the number. So not to have any regrets, please write down the number and send a WhatsApp message and reserve your scholarship. After your A-levels, you can come to Achievers and start your qualification.
Yes, Akhil, you can mention private candidate for the school. Yes, no problem. Fine. Now, are you all ready for the second step, kids? Are you all ready for the second half? Yeah. Fine. Great. A company uses the table below to record details of its projects. Each project is attached to a department and runs for a certain duration in months. The primary key for this table, blah, blah, blah. What do you have to say about the primary key of this table? What is the specialty of this primary table? For primary key, kids, come on, tell me, what is it? What is the specialty of this primary key? What type of primary key is this? Yeah, composite primary key. There we go. Composite primary key. Awesome, right? Okay. Give an example of an update anomaly that may occur in this table. Wow. For an update anomaly to occur, this table should be in blank form. Fill in the blanks. For an update anomaly to occur, this table should be in blank form. Unnormalized. Perfect. In an unnormalized form, right? So like maybe it has not reached certain levels of normalization. We are not saying that it's not fully unnormalized, you know, right? Let's see. It's not zero normal form we are talking. We are saying, you know, it can be like in unnormalized at certain level, right? Okay. So let's see. Maybe it has it is in the first normal form, but not in the second normal form. Maybe it's in the second normal form, but not in the third normal form, likewise, right? Okay. So update anomaly means what? A problem which occurs when updating the table. Can you please tell me just point out one update anomaly that can occur here? Usually anomalies occur due to what? Occur due to what? Anomalies occur due to what? Come on, give me the answer. There you go. That's a mistake. You write it at the examination. I would have asked that question here. What is that? Anomalies occur due to what? You are saying duplication. Wrong. It's not duplication. It's a special form of duplication called what? Anomalies occur due to a special form of duplication called what? What is it? Unnecessary duplication. There you go. Unnecessary duplication. Unnecessary duplication in 2 words is known as what? Or it's just in 1 word, what? Redundancy. Don't forget that. Redundancy. Right? Redundancy means what? Unnecessary duplication. Right. So focus. Update anomaly that may occur in this table. So I'm going to the marking scheme and see. Okay. If we wish to change the name of a project, this will need to be done for all the occurrences of that project, which can lead to an anomaly if those changes are not consistent. Simply saying, if you do a change to this project, let's say web portal, and I have 2 web portal, I can see, you can see that this is unnecessarily duplicating because it's the same project number. You can see it here. Like P01 is the same project number, and the project name is duplicated for that, obviously. So web portal, let's say if I'm going to change it, right? If I'm going to change only this record, okay, this record, let's say not web portal, I'm just saying website or web application to that, right? Then what will happen? Same project number, different project names. Okay. So which means after doing that change, will the database be in a consistent state? No, it will be inconsistent. Why inconsistent? About the same thing, you have different what? Different entries. About the same thing, when you have different entries, you call it inconsistent, right? So this inconsistency, right? Inconsistency of records definitely is created with the problem of updating. Updating has a problem. Updating had a problem, right? So when you had a problem, you call it update anomaly. So one example is trying to change the project name. You have to change all the occurrences. If you have missed to do so, if you have changed only one, say for example, in that case, it is an update anomaly. Is this crystal clear to all of you kids? Come on, everyone in the chat screen. Yes or no? Perfect. Awesome. Right. Then going for the next one. Explain what is meant by partial dependency in a table. Excuse me. For a table to have partial dependency, by the way, I must also tell you, now some of them are asking, sometimes they are asking the entire lesson to be done. I must tell you that it's not entire lesson that we are doing. This is a mock paper discussion session. We are having what? Discussion session on this, right? So the answer, everything, how the answer came, we are going to discuss, right? For example, if I'm going to take this question, I can go to all the types of anomalies, insert, update, and delete anomalies, and I have to talk about anomalies and everything. That won't be able to do because it's not revision. It's going to be mock paper discussion session. I hope you can understand that, right, kids? Yeah? Yeah, right? Yeah, right? Fine. Okay, awesome. So let's proceed. So here, what is meant by partial dependency? By partial dependency, everyone please focus like nothing. This is going to be very, very, very important. One of the most important things that we are going to do for the day. So are you all focusing, dear kids, about partial dependency? Yeah? Perfect. All right. Partial dependency in a table. For a partial dependency to occur, partial means what? It depends only on a part of a key, part of a primary key. There is a column which depends only on a part of a primary key. Which primary key can have parts? Tell me. Only a composite primary key can have parts. Why? To form a composite primary key, at least how many attributes, how many columns should be there in a composite primary key? At least 2. Exactly, should be there in a composite. Now tell me, in this composite primary key, how many parts are there in this table's composite primary key? 2 parts are there, clear? So partial dependency means what? Depending only on one or like not the whole key, it is depending only on what? Part of the key. Is that clear? What do you mean by that term partial dependency? Can you understand, kids? Yeah. Not depending on the full key, but depending only on the part of the key. Can understand, right? Okay. Right. Now, kids, wait. Here, partial dependency. Now, which means if a table is having partial dependencies, the first thing that the table must have is what, kids? What is the first thing that the table must have, kids? Come on, tell me. For a table to have partial dependencies, what is it? Composite primary key. 100% correct. Composite primary key, having it, that is a must. Okay, because without that, there is no, you cannot go for partial dependency, right? Okay, then wait. Now, composite primary key is there. Now, in this table, tell me, is there any possibility to occur partial dependency, yes or no? Yes. Why? Because there's a composite primary key. Okay, now let's say there's another table. I'm just checking your knowledge, huh? Right. There's another table. Huh? Let's say there's another table. That table is having, it's a department ID. Department ID. Okay. Let's say A, B, C, D, E. These are the columns, okay? These are the columns. Tell me, in this table, can there be a partial dependency? No. No. Right? Okay. Then in this now, can there be a partial dependency? Now I have changed the table. Yes. What are the partial dependencies that can occur here? Particular column might depend on what? Only on A. That is one partial dependency. The other partial dependency is what? Only on B. Can you understand? Can all of you understand? Particular column might depend only on A or else only on B. Right. Let me go for another one. There's another table. Can there be a partial dependence in this table? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. What are the partial dependencies that you can identify? A particular column can depend only on A, that is one. Only on B, that's another one. Only on C, that's another one. But that's not all. What is it? A, B both, still what? Partial dependency. B, C both, still what? Partial dependency. A, C both, still what? Partial dependency. Only on A and C, not the full key, because full key means A, B, C, all three. A, B both means still partial dependency. B, C both means still partial dependency. A, C both means still partial dependency. A separately, B separately, C separately, still partial dependencies. Can all of you understand this? Come on, yes or no? Can all of you understand this? Come on, yes or no? Perfect. Awesome, kids. Then, wait. Going back to our question. So let's see whether we can find any columns which are having partial dependencies, okay? Right. Identify any partial dependencies above the table. To identify this project name, do we need to have both the columns? That's what I'm asking. I'm simply asking, do I need to have P01 and D03 to identify web portal? I mean, D03 has nothing to do with web portal, right? So yeah, there is a what? Partial dependency. What is it? Web portal, or as its project name always depends only on what? The what? Project number. So there is one partial dependency that we can identify. Can all of you understand this, kids? Come on, yes or no? Come on, everyone on the chat screen, yes or no? Perfect, perfect. Awesome. Great, kids. Then. How about department name? Like HR department. Whenever HR department has occurred, is there anything that which is like uniquely happening here? Like, can we identify department name with project number? Can we identify department name with project number? Like P01, is it the same department name? No, right? D03, is it the same department name? Yes or no? Yeah, right. D07, is it the same department name? Yes or no? Yeah, right. So which means to identify department name uniquely, we need to have only what? We need to have only what? Department number. So there is another what? Another partial dependency. What is that? Department name depends only on department number. Can all of you understand these two partial dependencies that we have identified so far, kids? Yeah? Crystal clear to all of you? All right, going for the next one. Excuse me, duration. Whenever P1 occurs, is it the same duration? Yes or no? Come on, tell me. Whenever P1 occurs, is it the same duration? Yes or no? Come on, tell me. Oh my goodness, yes. Whenever P2 occurs, is it the same duration? Yes or no? Goodness, yes. Then what, kids? Duration also depends on what? Duration also depends on project number. So that's another partial dependency. Can all of you understand the partial dependencies here, kids? Come on, yes or no? Can all of you understand the partial dependencies here? Yeah? Can understand, right? Fine. So let's go to the marking scheme and see what's mentioned in there. Explain what is meant by partial dependency. Identify any partial dependencies. Both are answered. Let's see. Explain what is meant by partial dependency. The dependency of a non-key attribute. A non-key attribute. Tell me how many non-key attributes are here? How many non-key attributes are here? The attributes which are not belong to the key. 3 non-key attributes: project name, department name, and duration. Perfect. So dependency of a non-key attribute on only a subset of the attributes involved in a composite key. So simply saying, only a subset of the attributes involved in a composite key. Composite key has some subset of attributes. This composite key has 2 subsets, right? So if a non-key attribute is, dependent only on a subset of that, then what? Definitely, it's a partial dependence. Can all of you understand the definition, kids? Come on, yes or no? Can all of you understand the definition, kids? Come on, yes or no? You can write it in your own words as well. Perfect. Then going for the next one. Project number, project name. Those are what? The dependencies mentioned, right? Project number is going to what? How are we going to read it this way? I mean, this way I can read it. Project name depends on project number. That's correct. Duration depends on project number. Department name depends on project number. That's correct. But how am I going to read it in this way? Project number what? Functionally determines. Awesome to India. Project number functionally determines project name. Project number functionally determines duration. Department number functionally determines department name. That's how to read it in this way. Is it crystal clear to all of you kids up to this section? Come on, yes or no? Come on, everyone. Is this crystal clear to all of you kids? All right, great. Then remove any partial dependencies from the above table by performing normalization process. Do we need to write all 3? Yes. Have I said a partial dependency? English, please. Have I said a partial dependency? I have said any partial dependencies. Read it. Why are you even? Now you can write all 3. No? Even if it has mentioned 1, you can write all 3. No? But in this case, actually, question has very clearly stated you have to mention all the partial dependencies. Is it clear to you, Dahami? Right. Coming back to that. Anyway. Remove any partial dependencies from the above table by performing a normalization process and write the tables in third normal form along with records. All right. So tell me one table. So project table will be created with project number, project name, and duration. Why? Because project number determines project name, project number determines duration, project name and duration depends on project number. So there will be one table using that. And yes, here this should be underlined. Project number should be underlined here. This is the primary key. Can all of you understand why the project table should be created, kids? Yeah. Yes or no? Perfect. Then department table should be created with department number and department name, because why? We could identify that department name depends on department number. So therefore, they are now separated in a table. Now in that table which we have took all of these data from, there we are going to have only what? 2 columns. Only what? That composite key. But that composite key is not having just some normal attributes. The composite key, project number, is now what? A primary key of another table. So here to show that what? Primary key, foreign key relationship. Here, of course, I have not drawn it, right? But here to show that in an arrow-headed line, the primary key, foreign key relationship, arrow-headed line, arrowhead towards the primary key. Here department number what? Arrowheads toward the department number of department table. Here project number what? Arrowhead towards the project number of project table. Can all of you understand this, kids? Come on, yes or no? Can everyone understand this? Come on, yes or no, kids? Come on, everyone. All right, fine. Then 8. That question was kind of easy, I guess. Can you please tell me the difference between equal sign and like? Okay, Mashuda, the difference between equal sign and like is very simple. With like, you can use the percentage and then you can do pattern matching. You can check for a pattern. But equal means you are going to select the exact same value. It should match the exact same value. Not starts with, ends with that one, right? Can you understand? Okay. The wildcard characters can be used with what? Like. Equal sign means what? You have to mention exactly that value. Clear? Right. Great. Fine. Composite keys are always what? No, wrong. No. What is that, Saad? What is that question even? Is this composite key a foreign key? Tell me. Now others please answer. Now Saad is asking a question. Is this composite key a foreign key? No. A foreign key? No, wrong. A foreign key? There is a composite key here, true. There is a composite key here, true. Okay. A composite key is there. But can you say there is a foreign key here? No. There are foreign keys, 2 foreign keys. It has nothing to do with the composite key. Foreign key is a separate concept. Composite key is another concept. Clear, Saad? Right? Okay, now Safia is asking another question. So we have to write the records in 2 in this question. After the table structure, should we draw the 3 tables with records? Table structure should be. Now, the tables, why don't you read this? I mean, you are going to do this at the exam as well. Now my anger management devices I have to wear, it seems, because look at this, will you? Even in the marking, I don't know whether you have opened this marking scheme or not. Tables are required to be written with record. Following is just a table structure. Please answer to your question by yourself and tell me whether records are required. Look at this question. Remove any partial dependencies from the above table by performing normalization. Write the tables in third normal form along with records. So why are you asking whether we have to write the records again? Because you have not read it. This is another thing which is going to happen at the exam. Because you become pandityas at the examination. You look at the question, normalization. Ayyo, what is this Python? Ayyo, update anomaly. I know this, no? And then what? You are going to just do it. Can you do like that at the examination, kids? Are we going to get A passes if you do like that? Are you going to get A passes if you're going to do like that at the examination? Definitely no. So do not do it. Read properly. Okay. Fine. So let's proceed to the next one. Okay, this is an IP address thingy, networking question. This is a totally different one to what we have learned now. This I'm going to keep for the third day. Until then, I'm going to see what are the next ones. Are you going to remind this to me on the third day? Yeah? Please. Then the next one, we have PHP thing along with some HTML stuff, right? We can do that. And also again, some SQL stuff, right? Which one is more suitable to proceed with the next? Come on, tell me. Shall we proceed with this SQL stuff and then go to that HTML stuff? Yeah. Shall we do like that? Since we were like continuously doing SQL, yeah. Shall we do like that, kids? Yeah. All right, fine. And then, yeah, so SQL and then go back to this PHP and HTML thing, right? Okay, that's our order, right? So SQL, right? Excuse me. Consider the following tables. How many tables do you see, kids? Come on, everyone, the chat screen. How many tables do you see? Yeah. 2 tables, that's correct. Employee table and department table, right? We have Annie Oakley or Noam, whatever, Chomsky and Marvin Hagler, William Cody and Walt Disney. One name is familiar to you. What is that? Walt Disney. Right. So we have this employee ID, department ID, and department ID, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Write a SQL DDL statement. SQL DDL statement to create the employee table using suitable. Only the employee table. Okay. Fine. Excuse me. Only the employee table. Kids focus. Only the employee table means in order to create that table structure, what is the SQL statement that we have to use? Come on, please tell me, everyone in the chat screen. Yeah? Create statement. Awesome. Perfect. Yes. So you all can remember, no? Right, good. Happy about that. So here when we go for the create statement, let's see what is the create statement given in the marking scheme. Yeah, this one. Create statement, this one. Create table employee ID int or char6 is accepted. Have mentioned int or char6 is accepted. First name varchar 20, not null. Not null is a must because there are values in there. Last name varchar 20, not null. Not null is a must. By the way, why I have not mentioned here, like you can, this one also not null is a must, but I have not mentioned it, I have not enforced it, fine. And then department ID int a must, int is a must, right? I have mentioned here, int is a must, right? 6, 9, likewise, department ID int is a must. You can see clearly it's an integer, right? Okay. Excuse me. Don't you see that there are certain statements which are missing in my SQL statement in the marking scheme? What is it? Primary key. Very good. That is one thing. And then what? And also what? Foreign key. Why those things are missing? Have I underlined in my table that employee ID is the primary key here? Come on, tell me. So would it be fair enough if I'm going to, like, without underlining it, without showing you what the primary key is, would it be fair enough to include it in the marking scheme? No. So which means what? Conclusion is what? Conclusion is what? Amar, think, will you? Conclusion is what? Conclusion is my marking schemes are fair enough or not? My marking schemes are fair enough or not? Fair enough. If my marking scheme is fair enough, and if you are getting deducted marks, like marks, if your marks are getting deducted for this kind of marking scheme, which is fair enough, which has enforced but the main ones, If you have got lower marks for this, which means that shows your true level, right? Agree with me or not? So to agree, so to accept your level. So even if a student has not mentioned primary key here, foreign key here, according to this marking scheme, you are getting full marks. Fair enough. Fair enough. But you know what? You know what are the mistakes that students are doing? Sometimes we don't even feel like, cutting their marks off. May I tell you? May I tell you certain mistakes that I saw in your marking schemes? Huh? In your, answer sheets. Moments which I felt not deducting your mark, but had to deduct it. This closing bracket, missing. But a sad moment, but what to do? 1 mark with closing bracket. 1 mark with closing bracket. If this closing bracket is missing, can I give this 1 mark? Tell me. Be honest. No. That's fine. So you have to understand that. And also after the closing bracket, I'm advising you to put something because they have enforced this in some of the papers. What is that? This is not a part of SQL, but what? Yeah, semicolon. Please add that. Please add that even to the marking scheme. Please make sure that you have a semicolon. All right, going to the next one. Write an SQL statement to retrieve first name and last name of employees who are working in departments where department cost center value is higher than 7,000. Assume that more records than available is present. So first name and last name of employees who are working in departments where department cost center value. Where can I find department cost center value? Can you please tell me? It's not wrong, Dhamia. It's not wrong. It's not that you are not getting additional marks for that. That's it. Okay. Fine. Okay. Right. So tell me, department cost center is where? Which table? Department table. First name and last name of employees are where? Which table? Employee table. Then which means what? I have to merge these two tables together, right? In order to usually like merge these two tables, what is our way of merging these two tables? Come on, tell me. Using what? A foreign key. Do we have a qualifying foreign key field in the employee table or department table? Yes or no? Come on, tell me. Do we have a qualifying foreign key? Yeah, right. What is it, kids? Come on, tell me. Everyone with that screen, please mention the foreign key in here. What is it? Department ID. Awesome. Department ID. So this one department ID matches with that one department ID. Right. Okay. So let's see. By the way, is there any conflicting columns in these two? Having the same name? Any conflicting columns? Yes or no? Yeah, right. Conflicting columns, which means what? Having the same column name. Yeah, right. What is that, kids? What is that column? Come on, tell me, what is that column? Come on, everyone in the chat screen, what is that column, kids? Come on. What is that conflicting column? Department ID, my goodness. See, department ID having the same name. When you are accessing, when you are trying to give, when you are trying to access such columns, when you are using both the tables in a SQL statement, you have to use the table name. I will show it to you. Wait. Here, in our SQL statement, which is given here, you can see, select first name, last name. That is okay. I can straight away mention that. Because why? First name and last name columns are, they are only in the employee table. So I can mention that. From employee, department. So my tables are employee and department table up to that extent. Okay. Where I have to say employee.department ID and department.department ID. Can I say just department ID equals department ID? No, I have to say employee dot and department dot. Why? Because we are having the same column name in both the tables. So because of that, we have to mention it along with the table name. Employee tables department ID is equals to department tables department ID. Map those two tables together. Can all of you understand up to these 16 kids? Come on, yes or no? Come on, everyone in the chat screen, please. Come on, tell me yes or no, please. All right. And then, all right. And then finally, department cost center value is greater than 7,000. And also, please do not forget to put a what? At the end to put what, kids? Come on. In the marking theme is not there. What is it? Semicolon, right? Okay, semicolon. Perfect. Then, going for the next part. Write SQL statement to change the last name of employee with employee ID, this thing, to Mickey. Tell me, what is the SQL statement that we have to use for this? Come on, we have learned this today, stuff. Tell me. Come on, everyone, the chat screen. Update statement. Perfect, kids. So when I go to the update statement, you can see update employee table, set last name equals Mickey, set that, where employee ID is equals to this thing. So I have given only one answer there, is equals to this thing. Can all of you understand this, kids? Come on, yes or no? Can all of you understand this, kids? Come on, yes or no? Perfect. Right. By the way, do you know Bhatia Santosh? I mean, I don't know whether you are like maybe a bit foolish, or maybe I can say confused like me. When I was a kid, I thought that Bhatia Santosh means one person. How many of you thought like that? And the best part is like when even both of them were singing, I thought that Bhatia is Bhatia Santosh. How many of you were not? Same? How many of you put high five with me in that case, you know? I mean, to be honest, I'm being honest, you know, I was that dumb. My goodness, there is a lot. So there are lots of dumb idiots like me. We all in the same category, the same boat. That's good news. Right. I'm very happy. Fine. I mean, that feeling like when you get to know, fine, you are like initially in the middle of a crowd like this, becoming dumb, revealing your secrets. But when you all get to know that, you know, all the others were also dumb, that's like a happiness which has no words to explain, you know. That's really, no. Thank you very much, you know, for giving me that great feeling. Yeah. But later on, I could figure out that because I was actually searching for the other man's name. So I could figure out that, you know, the other one is Santosh, because Santosh, the term is like good for a second name. I feel like, you know, it's really good for like Bhatia's second name. You'll agree with me or not? I mean, I'm just saying, you know, from my perspective. Yeah, right. Okay. Bhati has something to say. Shall we listen to him a little bit? I mean, about IIT. Shall we give it a go? All right. Let's see. This is kind of an inspiring speech by Bhatia. So yeah, let's get this thing going. Listen to it. This is going to be very, very, very important for you kids. Trust me. All right, here we go. Can you see the video? Can you hear the sound? Could you hear it? Yes, can you see the video? Clear? Can you hear the sound, kids? Confirm everyone, the chat screen. All right, perfect, perfect. Okay, let's go for it then. Let's see what Bharti has to say about IIT. It's going to be an inspiring speech.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gaman Vikramasinghe, for having me at this show today. And to all of you out there, I said hi. All right. Okay, now, first of all, I will start with this opening statement of mine. I came and I was up there. And while seated, they said, it's 30 years for IIT. And I suddenly started feeling really old because I joined IIT when it was 5 years into business. So I joined IIT in 1995 and it was called IICS at that time. And I'm just going to share my story and experience at IIT and how it really helped me. So I was very good in school up to grade 11. I did my work very well. I was in the top of my class. And then after grade 11, I started to do a lot of extracurricular activities. A lot of extracurricular activities. And because of that, I could not get into a Sri Lankan university, though I had the capacity and the capability to do so, because I was doing a lot of other activities. And my father, he couldn't afford to really send me abroad as well at that time. And one of my friends came and said, you know, there's a place called IICS, and they do offer a UK degree, and api amuda macha. I didn't know what IICS was at that time, and this was in school. I was in school uniform. And I went home, and my father and my mother were a little bit unhappy because I couldn't get into a Sri Lankan local university. But I said, you know, there's a place called IICS. But things, you know, really turned to be much harder because I wanted to do commerce and business, and they were offering the business degree, and this was the first year, the experimental year. So I was from the first batch of business. And we had a small class of 14 of us, and we are still friends to date. So we were the first experimental guinea pigs, and my father, for some reason, I said, I'm going to try this out, because I went for an open day, and it proved to be very good. And we had a teacher who had come down from UK, from the principal university, and එකපාරටම දැන් මං තාත්තට ගිහිල්ලා කිව්වා තාත්තා එතන ගොඩක් ඉන්නේ උගන්නන්න සුද්දෝ කියලා. So that was the first experience that I had in coming to IIT, and IIT really helped. But then it was our Sri Lankan professors and Sri Lankan tutors who were much, much better than that Suddha, I must say. We learned a lot of them. And then what happened was, I came into IIT, and we didn't have Stagecraft at that time. I think Stagecraft was born, or Stagecraft actually really initiated about 4 years after my stint at IIT. We used to sing in the classrooms and do a lot of things, but I must tell you, this opportunity that you guys have got is golden. As you know, Bharti and Santush, we love art, we are passionate about art, and we took up art as our full-time job. And also, when we got into art and started doing it as our full-time job, we realized that the copyright law in this country literally does not exist because of certain problems. We do have a law on paper, but then it's not enforced. So we were thinking, should we go back to our like our friends did, should we go back to the conventional jobs in the corporates, or should we continue doing this after about 2 years? But because of the education at IIT, which opened our minds, opened us up to this world of new opportunity and showed us the way, one day we thought, okay, we learned something in class. in our second year, we learn how to integrate backwards into our own business. And that backward integration, that was a 1 week module that we learned, and that was an eye-opener for us. And the education suddenly kicked in, and we were like, let's integrate back into our own business, which was arts. So then we started a small company, and we started audio, and then that company grew, and then we went into events, we went into a lot of others, and now I'm proud to say, because of the IIT education, which opened our minds up, we are literally, in terms of the entertainment industry, we are quite a big corporate. We are a group of companies who we give permanent employment to nearly 150 people, and we have another 50 to 60 people who work on contract. And in Sri Lanka, in terms of entertainment, in every nook and corner we are there, and that is because of IIT. I think, Mr. Gamini Wickramasinghe, your great vision at that time, everybody should give him a big round of applause for giving that opportunity for students like us who came from Sri Lankan families, people who served in the government, and people who did honest jobs, who couldn't send their children out. And also people who wanted to keep their children with them in the country and still give an education. This was a golden opportunity for us, and I am one of the first students from when you really executed, or when you really went and implemented your vision. And there are so many of us. Anywhere that you go, in Australia, in so many places, you get top IIT grads doing really well, and every time you meet them, you're like, "Ame ape ekek neda." And the best part of it is, though your paper qualification is from somewhere else, your teachers are from this country, and you're groomed in this country, and you get the opportunity to stay with your friends, your family, and still get that same education and the exposure that you get. And that was a part of our success, and that has been an instrumental part of our success. And to be around for 20 years and to be on top of your game, that's not merely to do with the arts. You need to have a lot of strategy in it as well, and that has really helped us. And thank you very much, IIT, my old teachers from IIT, and Mr. Wickramasinghe, the whole family, and IIT as an institute. I'm really thankful and grateful for that. 20 years ago, I literally passed out of the institute 21 years ago. Now you know how old I am. So 21 years ago, I passed out as a graduate, and that really helped me and Santosh to really grow as a business, as an entity, and as two artists.
All right, kids, back to our content. Hope that was inspiring, yeah? That was inspiring. All right, great. Yes, that was a great speech. Right. So let's proceed with our content. Everyone, all of you. Are you all so far so good with the content that we have done, kids? Come on, yes or no? Yeah, right? Come on, kids. Come on, everyone, the chat screen. Yes or no? Yes or no? All right. Don't make it private. Come on, make it public. When you mention messages privately, people would think that, we are not receiving messages. Sorry, kids. There was a small glitch in the connection. You can hear me back again, right? All of you can hear me, right? Perfect. All right. Right. Time to proceed with the rest of the content. Let's see what we have to do next. So that now we have this thing. This is logic gates question. Let's not do that. Wait, there's a small problem with the frames. Let me change it a little bit. Wait. Let me fix it. Right, cool. Everything is fine now. Right. Back to normal. So this is logic gates question. So let's not go to that one today. We have separate logic gates part in there, and also a little bit of Python, and then byte addressable thing, and OS section is also there. Let's see. Let's go to the HTML section. Finish this, and if we have time, we'll go to the rest of it. Right? Okay. So are you all ready for this PHP and HTML and this content, kids? Come on, everyone. Yes or no? Yeah, right. Okay. State the purpose of using PHP when developing a website. Simply saying, simply. I was giving this to you earlier as well. Very simply saying, what is the purpose of having PHP, kids? Focus like nothing. So you have HTML or CSS content. Let's say you have a database. It's a database. Let's say database. Do we have features in HTML or CSS to talk to this database, kids? Come on, tell me yes or no. Rashid? No. Actually, no. HTML, CSS cannot directly talk to a database. Right? Tell me one reason why. Two different sides of the world. What is this world called? This is called what? Client side. Then what is this side? This is server side. This is where the server side is starting. Server side. So database is in which side, kids? Server side. Right? Y'all can see the text, yeah? Right. Then, so in order to like create this connection, like to present the content in either HTML or maybe itself, get the content from HTML and submit it to database, get the content from database, presenting content, displaying everything. Anyhow, the connection to the database is made with the use of what? PHP. So mainly PHP is used to what? Create a connection with the database and yes, deal with data in the server side. Still, PHP is a server-side language. Is this crystal clear to all of you kids? Come on, yes or no? Come on, is this crystal clear to all of you kids? Come on, yes or no? Everyone. Yeah, right? Perfect. Awesome. Right, great kids. Right. So now let's have a look at this. So you want to write this down? Is there anyone who wants to write this down? Can you quickly take a snapshot of this? Yeah. You all could take a snapshot, right, kids? Everyone? Yeah, right? Fine. Okay. So simply saying Salika, I guess. PHP is a server-side language which can deal with the database. It can insert data, create a connection between the database, right? So this implementation of the connection with your web application and the database can be done through PHP. If you know PHP, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know PHP, then you have to learn PHP, right? Why? Because this is mock paper discussion session, right? Okay, right. Then next one. Now there's a suggestion from Rashid. What is that? So meanwhile, drink some water. I'll consider that. Thank you, Rashid. Right, but not yet. Wait for it. So everyone focus, kids. To activate brain cells, yeah, Amar? Right, fine. So now when I go to that question again, back again, where is that? So what is the purpose of using PHP? We know the purpose now. Going back to the answer which is given in the marking scheme. Where is that? This one. Server-side scripting or to connect to a database. I have given two. You can mention either. What is that? Server-side scripting, server-side programming, right? Or to connect to a database. Both the answer points are acceptable. By the way, how many of you have attempted this and got this correct, kids? Come on. What is PHP? How many of you got it correct? Awesome. Perfect, kids. Awesome. Great. Yeah. Then going for the next one. Now the next one is super important. Consider the following HTML form. You will see lots of this kind of questions in papers. You know, it's a very common type of question which appears in part A especially, right? So learning this and getting full marks for this is very important. Don't forget that it is not just learning it, because some of you might think that by looking at it, my goodness, this is very simple. But actually, you are not even getting full marks for this. For the things that you know most of the time, you are not getting full marks. Why? Because you are what? Being overconfident and you don't care the question at all. You don't know what are the points that you have to consider. So focus, make it a chance to identify how an examiner thinks and what exactly are the points that the examiner considers. Focus. Consider the following HTML form. We have just some labels, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, and we have 3 text boxes. 3 text boxes are having some default values, right? Some default values. And then there's a button called show status. So that's a form. If this is a form and this show status button is going to be what, kids? Come on, tell me. Show status button is going to be what type of button? Tell me. Usually the default button, what is it? Submit button. Very good, very good. And then write the HTML code to display the above form, which submit the content to a PHP file named status.php. So this should send the data to a PHP file named status.php. Excuse me. When you are sending the data, right, you can mention status.php, that particular file name, in a special attribute. What is that attribute, kids? Come on, tell me. Action. Very good. Action. And the next thing that you have to mention is what? After action attribute or before action attribute. What do you have to mention? Method. There are usually, how many values are there in the method attribute, kids? Come on, tell me. 2 values. What are those 2 values? Get and post. Excuse me, kids. If the data is sensitive data, like passwords, PIN numbers, which method is suitable? Post method. Very good. But if we have any, insensitive data, which method is suitable? Get. Which method is lightweight and faster? Get method. Very good. That is exactly why we have to use the suitable one. So here, tell me, do we have sensitive data here? No. So what is the suitable method for this? Get method. Very good, kids. There you go. So now, when I go to this, you can see form action is status.php because it will submit to the status.php. So that's why this is mentioned. And then method is get. Method is get. 1 mark with closing tag. So the form, 1 mark with the closing tag. If you have not mentioned the method, will you be getting marks, kids? Come on, tell me. If you have not mentioned the method, will you be getting marks, kids? Come on, tell me. No, you won't be getting the marks. You won't be getting the marks, right? Then subject 1, that particular title. Input type text name is 1, value 0. Why? Because there is a default value. Default value we can mention with value 0, right? Name is S1. I have just mentioned the names. And then subject to input type text name is 2, value 0. Subject name, input type text name, whatever. And then input type, submit value, show status. You can see there is a submit button and the value is what? Show status. Why? Because in the submit button, the caption is show status. But here you can, you can use any name for these text boxes. Input type text, fine. Name S1, S2, S3. You can change it in the way that you want. Maybe sub 1, sub 2, sub 3, whatever you want. But Make sure that this content, the names actually make sense, right? Because these names, again, we have to use in somewhere. What is it? These names we have to use in somewhere. Which file? We have to use those names again. Come on, tell me. In which file? In the PHP file, which means what? Status.php file. Because we are sending these data using these names to the status.php file via get method. So don't forget that. So here, kids, everyone focus. What? Placeholder equals 0 is not given here. Placeholder is not the one which is given in here because it should be grayish when it comes to placeholder. You cannot see it in here, but I think in the white one, you must be able to see it should be grayish. The color should be gray color if it's a placeholder, right? Okay. So that's why. Is that clear, Sandeepa? Yeah. Right. Okay. Fine. Placeholder content, kids, do we have to backspace and indent? Placeholder content, do we have to backspace and indent? No, you just select it and as you type, it will get vanished, right? That's it. Fine. So can all of you understand the form here, kids? Come on, yes or no? Can all of you understand the form here, kids? Come on, yes or no? Everyone, the chat screen, please. Yeah, right? Perfect, kids. Then going for the next one. The status.php file displays you have passed if average mark is greater than 40, otherwise displays you have failed. That's very simple. Now Mashuda is asking why is value 0? Because Mashuda, my goodness, can't you see here? I don't know why you are even asking that question, but it's okay. I will explain it to you. Don't you see here 0? Mashuda, don't you see here 0? The default value is there. Can you understand? It's mentioned in the screenshot. Is it clear? Fine. Okay, right. Then going to the next one. The status PHP file displays you have passed if the average mark is greater than 40. Otherwise displays you have failed. Excuse me, do we have something called average mark in somewhere? Are we mentioning something called average mark here? Come on, tell me. No, right? Then what we have to do, kids? We have to calculate the average mark in our status.php file. Right. So let's see. And both the messages must be displayed in H1 elements. So I have restricted that also. Now, going back to the code, looking at this, you can see $_get S1. Why? Here S1 means what, kids? Come on. Here S1 means what? Our HTML form, the name mentioned for this text box. Name mentioned for this text box. Here S2 means what? Our HTML form, name mentioned for this text. Likewise, the 3 text box names are mentioned within get. Within get. Here get means what? $_get means what? The method that we have submitted the data. So here $_get from S1 text box, $_get from S2 text box, and then $_get from S3 text box. And yes, assign this value to $S1 variable, $S2 variable, $S3 variable. So how many, tell me, in total, how many PHP variables you can see in this answer, kids? Come on, tell me. Anna, again. In total, I'm asking about. In total, how many PHP variables? 4 PHP variables. Very good. How many data are coming from? How many data are coming from get method? Via get method? 3 data. What are those? S1, S2, and S3. Right? Okay. Then, so here how many PHP variables? 4 variables. Why? $S1, $S2, $S3, $average. These are the PHP variables. And then here we go. We calculate the average here by saying $S1 plus $S2 plus $S3 divide by 3. Right? And we get what? Average, kids. And then now the average is there. Now we say if average, $average is greater than 40, you have to display echo within double quotes, within H1, I have said you have passed. Because this is mentioned in the question like that. You have passed, right? And I have also mentioned echo or print within if statement and H1 will be getting 1 mark. there is a print statement also in PHP which works, kids. So that's another important thing for you. You can also mention print here or else echo here. But the most commonly used one in PHP is echo, right? So I have stick to echo here. And then else, if it is not, you have failed, you have to mention it within H1, kids. Is this crystal clear to all of you kids? Come on, tell me. Is it crystal clear to all of you kids? Come on, tell me. Yes or no? Right. Yes. One more thing that I have to mention. Yes. There's a small mistake here. What is that? Here, $S1 plus S2 plus S3 must be within where, kids? Within brackets. Otherwise, this division will take, this division will take the first priority. So please put this within brackets. Please make it in the marking scheme, kids. Right? I'm pretty sure definitely the marking is done properly, but please make it in the marking scheme, right? This must be within brackets. Y'all can see, can you all see the brackets in your marking scheme? No, right? No, right? Right. So please edit. Please edit. Please edit. It's a must. Before divide by 3, it's a must to have. Right. Okay. Right. Now that we have discussed lots of stuff today, I feel like that is right. Let's see. Going back, we have done. Now, yeah, last week we did this one, Python, and then we did this one today, and also this content, and also, yes, this one. My goodness, kind of. And then not this, but this, and also this, but not this one yet. Not this one either, not this one either, right? Okay. So shall we go for one last question? Shall we go for this one and finalize today's session, everyone? Yeah. Is there a part of this? It's a part of this. Wait, no, it's not a part of this. It's a separate question. Shall we go for this last question? Yeah, and finalize today's content. Yeah. Are you ready for this, everyone? Perfect. Right. Going for the last one. This is operating systems, right? State the state transition that could occur in process running on a computer with multitasking operating system, right? Can all of you remember? This is what state transition model? Can you remember? How many states are here? How many states are here in this model? 5 states. It has clearly mentioned what is going to happen to a process, right? New state and then ready state, and then from ready to running, and then running, it can get terminated. In some situation, it can go to waiting. In some situation, from waiting to it can become ready again. In some situation, it can go from running to ready, and then ready to running. We need to know when is that. Choose and write down the transition triggers indicated by the labels A, B, C, and D from the list given. Let me go in the proper order. First of all, when a new process is introduced and when it is ready, excuse me, just to remind you the content. At what time a process is becoming ready, kids? Come on, tell me. After what is assigned, a process is becoming ready? Come on, tell me. Wow, very good, kids. I'm very happy about you. Perfect. PCB. PCB stands for what? Process control block. A process becomes ready. And then process becomes ready and it goes to running state. What should fill the blank B, kids? Come on, tell me. It's getting what? Dispatched. Very good. Dispatched. Dispatcher is actually there in which one? Which scheduler? Which scheduler has the dispatching? Short-term scheduler. Very good. So there's an involvement of short-term scheduler here. This task is known as dispatch. We have the word in here. B means dispatch. Great. Then, when this one is running, it can complete it and, exit, get terminated. When this one is running, In which situation it goes back to ready state? Yeah, it's getting what? Interrupted. Very good. When there's a high priority process, the currently running process can get interrupted and go back to the memory, right? So here, interrupt is there for A. It's there for A, it's interrupt. Then C and D, but I'm going to do D first. So running process is going to the waiting state in which situation, kids? Come on, tell me. Yeah. IOO event, wait. Input, output operation or event wait situation, it goes to what? Waiting state. So for D, it's going to be IOO event wait. Very good. And then a waiting one is going to go back to the ready state in what, kids? Yes, what? IOO event complete. When that event has completed, it can go back to ready state, right? Can you remember we extended this diagram and learned the 7-state model as well with swap out and all of those things with the involvement of medium term scheduler? Can remember, right? So if you cannot remember, please, it's time for you to revise it, right? Okay. Then for the process above, give one possible reason for the following transition trigger. Interrupt. Tell me one reason to the interrupt. Very simple reason is given here. Operating system decides to let another task run. Process timeout. A higher priority process comes. Can you remember the example that I gave in the class for the higher priority process? Can anyone remember that? Nisansa just mentioned the name, right? While I'm having the class, while I'm conducting the class, let's say the process is running. Someone special whom I care the most, let's say, is going to just what? Or maybe a celebrity is going to, I mean, celebrity that I like, let's say, is going to what? Walk into the class. What will happen? The current running process will get what? Interrupted because there is a higher priority process. I'm going to what? Go back to the ready state. Keep you in the ready state. What? And then what? Focus on the one who has come. Attention left. Can all of you understand interrupt situation, kids? All right. So my dear kids, next week we are going to do some very important content. It's going to be the networking question as well. So until then, thank you very much for staying until the last moment. Bye-bye, kids. Have a nice day to all of you. Next mock session, as usual, Wednesday. See you on next Wednesday night.